This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 6:15. Here is the news, edited by Dulmin Samrasinghe, assisted by Nilusha Jaimana, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. India agrees to hand over the ownership of the oil tanks in Trincomalee to Sri Lanka. 10 megawatts of power will be added daily to the national grid through 700 tons of garbage from today. The Media Minister says government will give priority for development. Laws will be strictly imposed against persons who destroy forests. Foreign news, French Assembly passes bill aiming to curb Islamism. Sports news, cricket. Kumar Sangakkara's lower centuries to be celebrated on Father Time Wall. Local news in detail. India has agreed to hand over ownership of oil tanks in Trincomalee again to Sri Lanka. Accordingly, Minister Uday Gamampila said that Sri Lanka will get the ownership of oil tanks in due course. The oil tanks will be developed through a joint venture with a majority of shares owned by Sri Lanka. The minister said that the ownership of such assets were lost by the country due to the short-sightedness of politicians who worked with narrow political objectives. Minister was speaking during a ceremony today at Kolonnawa Petroleum Storage Terminal Company. 10 megawatts of power generated daily using 700 tons of garbage will be added to the national grid today. The first power plant to generate electricity using solid waste built at Keravalapitia was vested today with the public. The electricity is produced using solid waste supplied by the Colombo Municipal Council. Increasing the contribution of renewable energy is expected by the project according to the vistas of the Prosperity Policy Statement. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa attended the event as the chief guest. Speaking on the occasion, Minister Darasala Peruma said that the country's first LNG power plant will be opened at Keravalapitia on the 5th of next month. The minister said that Cabinet has given the approval to set up 7,000 small solar power plants in the country. Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne says that laws will be strictly imposed against the people who destroy forests. He said that information has been received that certain individuals are destroying forest reserves, misusing state power. The Air Force is conducting special operations to identify forest destruction. Information has been received that permits to destroy forests have been issued with the knowledge of the state officials. The Defence Secretary said that the armed forces are paying special attention in this regard. Police are also conducting special investigations into the places of forest destruction. Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne said that strict action will be taken against forest destruction at Kuchiveli area. Minister Keheli Rambukala says that the government will give priority for the development of the country amid challenges. During the function to launch National Development Media Centre today, he said it will provide the opportunity to give correct information to the public. Mr. Milinda Rajapaksa has been appointed as the director of the centre. The minister emphasized that the centre will not impose any limits to obstructions to media. Speaker Mahinda Abewardena was given the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine at the Army Hospital in Narayanpeta this morning. Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle was also present while the vaccine was administered to the Speaker. Meanwhile, 24 government and opposition MPs have been given the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 injection as of this afternoon. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
Continuing with more local news, the Ministry of Health says that 747 COVID-19 patients have recovered and discharged from the hospital within the last 24 hours. This brings the total number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country to 71,176. A total of 77,184 cases of coronavirus have been reported in Sri Lanka so far, while 5,599 of them are currently under medical care. The country's death toll due to the virus stands at 409. Meanwhile, Western Province Director of Health Services, Dr. Dhammika Jayarath said that COVID vaccines are being given in the Western Province. She said that the vaccine will be given to the persons in the age category of 30 to 59 years. The program is being implemented, covering all 3 districts. The Court of Appeal today fixed to hear on 23rd of this month the petitions filed by the former Criminal Investigation Department Director Shani Abesekara and former CID Sub-Inspector Sugath Mendes. The 2 suspects were remanded by the Gampaha Magistrates Court for allegedly fabricating evidence in a case against former DIG Vas Gunawardena and a group of other suspects. Their bail applications were earlier rejected by the Gampaha High Court. Attorney General's media spokesman Nishara Jayaratna says that the Attorney General is yet to receive the Easter Sunday Commission report on the attacks. The Commission report has been handed over to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 1st of this month after completing inquiries on the 28th of January. The Commission, which was appointed in October 2019, has recorded evidence from 457 persons. They have examined 440 confidential documents and 1,566 other documents. The Attorney General has instructed the IGP to name Hijaz Hezbollah as a suspect, explain the charges and produce him on court. This was revealed by the coordinating officer of the Attorney General's State Councillor Nishara Jayaratna. Nearly 400 Sri Lankans who had been stranded abroad after leaving for employment in the Middle East have returned to the island. They have arrived on 2 flights at the Bandaranaike International Airport this morning. Accordingly, 389 Sri Lankans had arrived from United Arab Emirates. The first batch of 238 returnees arrived on an Etihad Airways flight early this morning. Another 151 arrived on the Sri Lankan Airlines flight. All the returnees have been taken to quarantine centres operated by Sri Lanka Army. The Catholics and Christians begin their Lent from today's Ash Wednesday. Lent includes the 40 days leading up to the Resurrection Sunday. On Ash Wednesday, the priest dips their finger into a tray of ashes and spreads on believers' foreheads in a shape of a cross and say, "Man, you came from dust and you will return to dust." The ashes are made by burning palm branches from the previous year's Palm Sunday. During the Lent, it is customary for Catholics and Christians to meditate on fasting, one of the most important events in the death of Jesus. Churches throughout the island have organized events related to Lent today in accordance with the health guidelines. That ends local news.
Darling, our daughter has top O-level results. Do you know what this means?
Yes, just 3 years and she'll be going abroad for her degree.
For which we'll need a bank loan.
But is a normal loan the smartest option?
What else?
The smartest way is to start an HDFC Smart Goals account.
Let your child begin their degree with no delays. Start an HDFC Smart Goals account. Call 2356 888.
Honey, you're so smart.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Assistant Secretary of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Navin D'Souza, says it is a common situation to find virus variants amid a global pandemic. He said that methodology should be introduced to face new variants. Therefore, he pointed out the need to wear face masks and to keep social distance despite vaccination. Dr. Navin D'Souza emphasized the need to limit holding ceremonies. That came to you on Main News Story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, Cabinet spokesman Minister Keheli Rambukala said the Cabinet approved the paper submitted by the Transport Minister for taking necessary measures for utilizing the online prepared transit card for public transportation. He said the system will be implemented in the public transport sector as a solution to using money to buy tickets. That came to you on Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
World News headlines first. French Assembly passes bill aiming to curb Islamism. Satellite images show China emptying military camps at a border flashpoint with India. NASA's rover is heading for a bullseye landing on Mars. World News in detail. France's National Assembly approved legislation designed mainly to counter a rise in Islamism in the towns and cities which the government says threatens national unity. The legislation did not single out any particular religion, but it cracked down on practices such as forced marriage and virginity tests. It included tough measures against online propagandists, apologists for the acts of violence, stricter surveillance of religious associations, and tighter restrictions on educating children outside mainstream schools. The bill has been branded by some on the left as an attack on Islam, and so too weak by the far right and some conservatives. Satellite images released today show China has dismantled dozens of structures and moved vehicles to empty out entire camps along a disputed Himalayan border, while India and China troops have been looked into a face-off since last summer. The nuclear-armed neighbors last week announced a plan to pull back troops, tanks and other equipment from the banks of Pangong Tso, a glacial lake in the Ladakh region that became the flashpoint in the prolonged border dispute. The American Space Agency says its Perseverance rover is lined up perfectly for its landing on Mars. The robot is heading for a touchdown on the Thursday in a crater called Jezero, just north to the planet's equator. Its mission objectives will be to search for signs of past life and to collect and prepare rock samples for return to Earth in the 2030s. Engineers told reporters that as things stand, they don't plan to make any more changes to the robot's trajectory. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. French Assembly passes bill aiming to curb Islamism. Satellite images show China emptying military camps at border flashpoint with India. NASA's robot is heading for a bullseye landing on Mars. That ends world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Moving on to development news. The Cabinet this week granted approval to extend waivers on landing and aircraft parking charges at Mattala Rajapaksa International Airport and Bandar Naik International Airport to attract international airlines in a bid to support the recovery of country's tourism sector. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga presented the proposal in this regard to the Cabinet of Ministers, where he sought the waivers to be extended until 19th July 2021. That ends development news. Moving on to sports news, cricket. Former Sri Lanka captain Kumar Sangakkara's centuries at Lord's will be part of the Lord's Father Time Ball installation that will celebrate the 100 greatest milestones at the grounds. The Media and Communications Officer at the MCC, Adam Matthews, said Kumar Sangakkara's scoring Test and One-Day international centuries at Lord's within a fortnight in 2014 is included. The Lord's Father Time Ball is an installation that is to be erected at the St. John's Wood Ground that will recognize 100 of the greatest milestones ever to take place at the hallowed home of cricket. Olympics news. Japan's Olympics Minister Shiko Hashimoto has emerged as the preferred candidate to succeed Yoshiro Mori as president of the Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee after he stepped down last week. Mori's recent resignation over sexist remarks is the latest blow for the Summer Games, already been marred by an unprecedented delay and strong public opposition in the face of coronavirus fears. Tennis news. Russian Daniil Medvedev secured a spot in the Australian Open semi-finals with a 7-5, 6-3, 6-2 victory over friend and competitor Andrei Rublev today, extending his winning streak to 19 matches. Meanwhile, Jennifer Brady today found herself within reach of the maiden Grand Slam final. Brady booked her second major semi with the 4-6, 6-2, 6-1 win over United States teammate Jessica Pegula and finished the match full of running despite a sweltering afternoon at Rod Laver Arena. That ends sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Air Arabia, the Middle East and North Africa's first and largest low-cost carrier, has announced the resumption of direct flights between Sharjah and Colombo, starting 2nd of March 2021. Customers can now book their direct flights between Sharjah and Colombo by visiting Air Arabia's website or through travel agencies. Air Arabia also added the COVID-19 insurance coverage for passengers. The insurance coverage is automatically included as part of the booking and no additional documents are required from passengers. That ends business news.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
The government has decided to select private sector investors through a competitive bidding process to implement a 100 kilowatt solar power generating program within the next 18 months. Under the project, it is planned to generate renewable electricity by connecting one ground-mounted solar power plant for each of 7,000 power distribution transformers owned by the Ceylon Electricity Board and Lanka Electricity Company Private Limited. That ends economic news.
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
No, Amma. We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
Oh, really? How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy. She might be feeling very uncomfortable. The airport must be heavily crowded because it's a season.
Amma, calm down. Everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge. There's nothing to worry.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, on to the weather report. The Met Department says a few showers may occur in eastern coastal areas, particularly in the night. Showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in Sabaragaon, central Uva and southern provinces during the evening or night. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in central Sabaragaon and Uva provinces and in Gol and Matra districts during the morning. That ends the weather report. To wrap up the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. India agrees to hand over the ownership of oil tanks in Trincomalee to Sri Lanka. 10 megawatts of power will be added daily to the national grid through 700 tons of garbage from today. The media minister says government will give priority for development. Those will be strictly imposed against persons who destroy forests. Foreign news, French Assembly passes bill aiming to curb Islamism. Sports news, cricket, Kumar Sangakkara's Lord's century is to be celebrated on Father Time Ball. With that, we wrap up the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and yours, Chandima Virakon.